shoulder blades flat to the earth. So we're going to keep those knees together and the shoulder blades on the ground. And then I want you to try to drop both knees to the right, just as far as you can. If you start to feel that shoulder blade pick up, then you stop, hold there for a second, and then as you exhale, pull your knees back up to center and move them over to the left-hand side. So that's why it's called a window washer. So what we're doing here again, warming up those hips. Good. So just drop it over to the left. Hold it for a breath or two. Let those hips warm up. And then pull it back to the center and let's go back over to the right. So again, these are stretches mostly you're going to want to do at home so people in the range aren't like, what is that man doing? But you're going to go side to side. You can go ahead and move with your own breath. Hold it for the inhale. When you exhale, use that exhale to pull you back up and over to the other side. I'm just going to take a peek at you. Let's keep those shoulder blades down flat on the earth. Good. Good. And really try to keep those knees squeezed. If you're like me, you may hear some popping in the back. It might sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies, and that's okay. Come back to center when it feels good. And you may find that one side needs the stretch more than the other, and it's okay to hang out there. Now, when you're at home, and if you like a challenge, and if you want to warm yourself up just a little bit more, you can always start to bring those knees up to 90 degrees. You're going to feel this more in the core, and then drop them to the side. Same thing, keeping those knees squeezed. You might not be able to go down as far without your shoulder blades popping up. And then to the other side, trying to keep those shoulder blades down. This is a little bit more advanced. You're going to really feel it in the core. But strong core means strong back. Okay? So that's level 2. Don't have to do it. You can always try it at home. From here, while we're down on our backs, let's come back to center. Your knees are still bent. I'm going to straighten now my left leg. And I'm going to hug my right knee. I'm going to try to pull it a little bit closer to my chest. From here, I'm going to take that right arm back out to the side like a T. And then using my left hand, I'm just going to very gently bring my right knee across my body so I get this nice little twist. And I'm going to look at my right fingers. My fingers are out like a T. I'm going to just kind of gaze at them. Now we've got this great big spinal twist moving up our body. Started with our hips, now we're moving into the spine. Good. Hold it for a few breaths, and then you want to come back to center. Release that right leg, send it down to your floor, and then hug the left leg in. And repeat on the left, gazing out at those left fingers and gently using the right hand to press, press, press that right knee across the body. So now we're starting to warm up that spine. Good. And then come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. We'll do a little rock and roll here. Believe it or not, this is a good little massage for your spine. All right. From here, we're going to do something called bridge. This just helps warm up the muscles of the legs and the glutes. So back to those flat feet position. Palms are down by your side. And I'm going to lift my hips up off the floor. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, my butt together, my butt muscles. And then I'm going to try to pretend I'm holding an orange between my knees, and I cannot let it go. I call it my invisible orange. I can't let it go. And then I lower back down slowly, one vertebrae at a time. And then just lift, and it may just be the tiniest little motion. You're pressing those heels into the floor. Press, press, press. Lifting the glutes up off the floor. And then lowering back down. Good. So now we're just starting to engage the back of the legs. Lift up again, lift those hips towards the sky. You're going to press your feet into the floor here. Just lift your hips up off the floor. So put your feet down. Good. And lift those hips. There you go. Now we're just starting to work the back of the body and lower back down. Good. Good. So that's called bridge and lower back down. Okay. We're actually going to roll over onto our belly. So this is called Cobra. Now I'll tell you something. Sometimes I show people this stretch and they're like, ooh, this is going to hurt my back. It really won't. It is a huge back strengthener. and lengthener. You just need to do it correctly and protect your back. So let me show you real quick first. You can watch me. Laying down on my belly, I've got my toes pointed, and again, I'm squeezing those glute muscles. And what that's going to do is protect my low back. So always think of squeezing. I'm going to tuck my elbows into the side so my fingers are just higher than my shoulders. And I'm just going to gently lift my chest and squeeze and lower down. So it's just a tiny little movement to start with. I'm lifting and I'm breathing and I'm lowering. Now if you start to feel stronger, you can always press into those palms, straighten the arms, and get long. But if not, you just stay where you're at, nice and low, very good, and then lower back down. Good. Good. Lift up. Now I want you to think when you're up there, as far as you're comfortable getting, about bringing these shoulder blades down your back so they're as far away from your ears as they can be. I want you to feel like you're the longest you can be. Your spine is super long. Shoulder blades down the back. Good. And then lower back down. Good. From here, if you can, just press up and sit back towards your heels, sitting your glutes back towards your feet, and really reaching those arms out in front of you, nice and long, spreading the fingers. This is called child's pose in yoga, but it's a super stretch for the back. If you need to, you can spread those knees a little bit wider so that you can sink down a little bit closer to your floor. Stretch, stretch, stretch. This, if you get those hands out far enough in front of you, and if you're able, you're going to feel this nice stretch down the back muscles. We call it the lats. So you want to sit those heels down as far as, your butt down as far as you can towards the heels. And for some people that's not very far, and that's okay. We're just getting there. Good. Up to all fours. I'm going to show you kind of the master stretch of all stretches. When Matt comes to me and says my back hurts, what can I do? I tell him cat-cow, cat-cow. This is an awesome pre-round, and I'm going to show you a variation that you can do on the range too, okay? So we're going to come down to all fours. Fingers are spread wide because it adds strength, and the hands are our only connection to the golf club. So we want them to be as nice and strong. My knees are hip-width apart. If this is uncomfortable for you on this surface, when you're at home, just roll up a blanket or a pillow, put them right under your knees, okay? Or you can go onto the padded tee there. And you're just going to arch the back. Press the hands into the ground, tuck the chin into the chest. This is your cat. And then you're going to drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the eyes to the sky. This is your cow. And you're just going to keep moving, pressing and arching, dropping and lifting. And this is really going to create some spinal flexibility. It should feel nice. Good. Lots of good spinal mobility. That's nice. Very good. Let's come on up to standing. Now, if you wanted to do this on the driving range, obviously you could grab a golf club. Any club will do. Just put the butt end down so you got nice support. Hold on to it here. Arch and flatten. And arch and flatten. And you won't look as crazy, right, on the driving range. Try to keep you from lying down on the range where people might look at you funny. But you can really get those ears between the arms and then think about dropping your chest to the floor, lifting the tailbone. And arch and lift. While you're here, you can take a cue from old, what's his face? What's the guy who looks like a pirate? You know what I'm talking about? And he does those hip circles here.
Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Thank you, Jimenez. And when he gets out on that range, he does some hip circles. So this is the perfect time to do it. You've got the butt end of the club down, do a few arches, do a few hip circles here. Really start to get into those hips, okay? I always tell my students, get into your hips, and then you think, what does that mean? It just means I want you to really feel the full range of motion in those hips. So important. Real quick, you know, the old school of thought with golf was that you swung and everything kind of moved as one piece, right? And maybe you were taught to swing that way. but everything went to the right and then everything goes to the left. The new school of thought that you see in guys like Adam and Rory, they stand, they do this great big twist with their upper body, they start moving that lower body and their upper body comes through. It creates a tremendous amount of torque on the spine. Who knows what's going to happen to them when they get into their 50s, 60s, they may have back problems. I don't know. Right now they're killing the ball, right, because they're getting all this tremendous torque. But they're fit and they're really working on spinal flexibility to keep themselves healthy. They're working on a lot of hip mobility, and that's what we're doing here. Last little stretch I'm going to show you, we'll do again with the golf club, and then I'll show you how you can do it at home with just a chair. We're going to work on those hamstrings, okay? So let's start here with the golf club again down in front of us. This is another one you can do on the range. My feet are just about hip width apart on this one, okay? Don't show me this. I know where your hips are. They're a little bit closer than that. Stick that buttocks back behind you. Easy knees. You never want to lock them out. Just as far as you can here. And think about dropping the chest to the ground in front of you. And you can gently press that club out to lengthen your back. So this is one here where you want to hold it. You want to breathe through it. And even maybe as you get a little bit deeper into the stretch, you can start walking your hands down the club. So now maybe my hands are in the middle of the shaft. Okay? And as you hold it for a few more breaths, maybe even deeper. Or maybe you hang out where you're at. But keep that butt sticking back behind you. You don't want your knees bent, but you don't want them locked. Nice and safe on the knees. Does everyone feel that in their hamstrings? How could you not, right? So that's one that's super to do before your round and even after your round, okay? If you're at home, you don't have your golf club out, that's fine. You can hold onto a table, onto a chair, and just stick the butt out and drop the chest down to the ground. Okay, that's a super one. Last one I'm going to show you here before I release you is a wide leg standing forward bend. Now, same theory is that we're going to get that nice stretch in the hamstrings, but maybe able to get a little further down towards the ground. The ground's a little bit closer because we start closer to the ground, okay? So we're going to start with our feet just as wide as is comfortable for you. I'm going to think about getting real tall first, out of my hips, standing straight up like I'm being pulled up, and then I'm going to stick that butt back behind me and reach down. Now, if you can't get any further than here, grab your elbows and kind of sway side to side. What will happen is that gravity will kind of help you maybe get a little bit closer, okay? And if you can't get any further after that, then that's fine. You just put your hands on your calves or your thighs or wherever you're at. Let your head feel super heavy and just hang out there. And again, you just want to be patient with your body. If you can, from here, whether your hands are on the ground or on your calves or wherever, let's lift up your right arm just as far as you can, looking up at the sky. You get this big spinal twist, and then down. And then your left hand, big spinal twist, and then down. You can do that as many times as it feels good. When you're ready to come up, I want you to tuck. Once feels good. I want you to tuck your chin up and roll slowly so your head's the last thing up because you've been upside down. I don't want you to get dizzy. Okay. 2 things you can do at home after your round, and then I'll free you. So these are all things you can do before. Those are great for before. You get feeling a little bit loosey-goosey. That's where my name comes from. You get out to the golf course, you should be good to go. After your round, you've been walking, like we said, could be up to 6 miles. All your blood is starting to pool towards your feet. It's the same after anywhere you've been on your feet all day. Find you a wall. You don't have to do this now, but I can demonstrate. We just don't have a lot of wall space here. Or a table or something at home where you can get those legs as straight as possible against the wall. And you may have to have your butt further back, or eventually you may be able to sneak in a little bit closer. But you want to get that big hamstring stretch and let the blood that has pooled in your feet kind of travel back to your other extremities. You can hang out there for 5-10 minutes, watch TV, finish watching the golf game that's on, whatever. But you want to get that blood out of your feet and back to the rest of your body. It's a